Why does your daughter look just like me? The question sliced through the afternoon air like shattered glass, sharp and impossible to ignore. The fountain behind them kept spilling water in gentle arcs, the sound almost mocking the silence that followed. A little girl with honey-brown hair clung tightly to her father's shoulder, her wide hazel eyes flicking nervously between the two adults. The woman in the deep blue dress stood frozen, her face drained of color, her hands trembling as if the ground beneath her had just cracked open. In that single moment, 3 lives collided, and a truth buried for years clawed its way to the surface. Before we dive deeper into this unforgettable story, take a second to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness and second chances. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? Your support means more than you know. Her name was Vivienne Armand, a woman who had built her life on precision, control, and immaculate appearances. She wasn't the kind of person who believed in coincidences. Yet as she stood in the courtyard of that upscale shopping plaza, staring at the child in Rowan Callahan's arms, her carefully structured world began to unravel. Rowan Callahan was not a man easily shaken. At 36, he had endured enough loss to harden anyone's heart. His dark hair was streaked faintly at the temples, not from age but from stress. Life had carved quiet lines around his eyes. Those eyes now held something complicated: fear, protectiveness, and a weary resignation. He shifted slightly, tightening his hold on the little girl. Her name was Ilara. Ilara was 8 years old. She had Rowan's steady posture and calm demeanor, but her features, her cheekbones, the shape of her eyes, the gentle curve of her lips, were a mirror image of the woman standing in front of them. Vivienne had not seen Rowan in 9 years. Back then, they were 2 young people chasing dreams in a city that swallowed the hopeful whole. Rowan was studying architecture, juggling part-time jobs. Vivienne was on the verge of launching her own fashion label, fueled by ambition and relentless drive. They had loved each other with the reckless intensity of youth, the kind of love that feels eternal until reality intrudes. Reality had come in the form of opportunity and fear. When Vivienne was offered a life-changing contract in Milan, she chose it. Rowan had begged her to stay just long enough to plan their future together. But she believed love could wait. She believed time was generous. She believed she had years to fix what she was leaving behind. She didn't know she was already carrying a future inside her. Vivienne discovered she was pregnant 2 weeks after arriving overseas. Panic consumed her. Her career was finally unfolding, investors watching her every move. A scandal, an unplanned child, a public relationship, any of it could destroy what she had worked for. She told no one, not even Rowan. The night she called him, her voice trembling across the ocean, she didn't tell him about the baby. Instead, she said words that cut deeper than truth ever could. She told him she had met someone else, that she had outgrown him, that he deserved someone who wanted the same simple life he did. She thought she was protecting him from disappointment. She thought she was protecting herself from sacrifice. Rowan didn't beg, he simply went quiet. And then he said goodbye. 3 months later, Vivienne lost the baby. Or at least that's what she believed. Complications had sent her to a private clinic arranged discreetly by her agency. She remembered white lights, hushed conversations, and signing papers through tears. When she woke, a nurse told her there had been a miscarriage. She mourned alone in a foreign city, convincing herself that fate had corrected her selfishness. She buried that grief so deeply she almost forgot how it felt. Until now. Because Ilara was not coincidence. She was memory made flesh. Rowan's voice finally broke the silence in the courtyard. He didn't raise it. He didn't accuse. He simply said that sometimes life has a way of returning what was stolen. Vivienne's knees nearly buckled. 9 years ago, a week after Vivienne's final call, Rowan had received another call, this one from a hospital. A nurse explained that Vivienne had been admitted briefly before leaving the country again. During her stay, complications had revealed she was pregnant. She had not authorized any family contacts, but Rowan's number was listed as emergency information from a prior visit. The nurse hesitated, unsure if she should say more, but she did. The baby was alive. Vivian had suffered a medical crisis, but the child had survived through emergency intervention. Because of legal confusion and Vivian's immediate return overseas under agency protection, custody fell temporarily under state supervision. Rowan was contacted as the biological father. He didn't even know he was going to be a father. The hospital provided proof. Medical records, DNA testing. There was no doubt. Rowan didn't hesitate. He signed everything. He fought through paperwork and judgment and sleepless nights to bring Alara home. Vivian never called again. For years, Rowan tried to reach her. Her number changed. Her agency blocked communication. Her public image grew. Magazine covers, interviews, fashion weeks. She became a name whispered with admiration. Meanwhile, Rowan learned how to braid hair from online tutorials at 2 in the morning. He learned how to soothe fevers, how to attend school recitals without breaking down when other parents arrived in pairs. He never told Alara her mother didn't know about her. He simply said that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, but love isn't always loud. Vivian staggered back now, her breath shallow. She remembered the clinic, the rushed discharge papers, the way her manager insisted she avoid emotional distractions. She had been sedated, vulnerable, surrounded by people whose loyalty was tied to profit. Had she misunderstood? Had someone decided for her? Alara reached out suddenly, small fingers brushing Vivian's sleeve. It was an innocent gesture, curious and unafraid. Vivian looked down into eyes that reflected her own, and something inside her broke open. The next weeks unfolded like a storm refusing to pass. Vivian withdrew from public appearances. She hired lawyers to investigate the clinic records from nearly a decade ago. What she uncovered was devastating. The clinic had miscommunicated internally during the emergency. Her manager at the time had signed additional documents while she was unconscious, citing career protection clauses. In the chaos, the narrative had been simplified for her. Miscarriage. It was easier, cleaner, easier for everyone but her. Rowan didn't make it easy for her to re-enter their lives. He had built a fortress of routine around Alara. Morning pancakes shaped like stars, bedtime stories about brave girls who found their own constellations. He wasn't bitter, but he was cautious. Vivian didn't try to claim what she hadn't earned. She started small, school pickups, park afternoons, listening more than speaking. She learned Alara loved astronomy and hated olives. She learned the child had once asked Rowan if her mother lived on the moon because she felt so far away. Every night Vivian cried, not out of guilt alone, but gratitude. Gratitude that Rowan had chosen love over resentment, that Alara had grown into someone gentle despite the fractured beginning. One evening, as autumn painted the city gold, Alara tugged at Rowan's sleeve and asked if families could have more than one beginning. Rowan looked at Vivian across the dinner table, her eyes hopeful and terrified all at once. He realized then that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting pain. It was about deciding the pain would not be the final chapter. Vivian stepped back from her empire slowly. She delegated control. She refused contracts that demanded constant travel. For the first time, she prioritized presence over prestige. Headlines speculated about her mysterious retreat, but she no longer cared. The real headline was happening at home. The first time Alara called Vivian Mom, it wasn't dramatic. It slipped out naturally during a science project gone wrong. Glue everywhere, glitter in hair, laughter filling the kitchen. The word hung in the air like fragile crystal. Vivian froze. Rowan simply smiled. Because sometimes redemption doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with glue-stained hands and quiet acceptance. The world that shattered that afternoon by the fountain did not end. It reassembled, piece by delicate piece, into something stronger. Rowan never demanded apologies. Vivian never stopped offering them. Ilara grew up knowing the full story eventually, not as a tale of abandonment, but as a story about mistakes, courage, and the strange mercy of timing. Years later, when Ilara stood on a stage receiving an award for a youth astronomy program she founded, she spoke about gravitational pull, the invisible force that keeps planets from drifting into darkness. She said people have that too, an invisible force that brings them back when they're ready. In the audience, Rowan and Vivian sat side by side. Not perfect, not untouched by the past, but anchored. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, share, and comment. Stories like this remind us that even broken beginnings can lead to beautiful futures. And before this story ends, here's a special request. Comment the word second chance if you believe it's never too late to make things right, because sometimes the most powerful answer to a painful question doesn't shatter the world. It rebuilds it. Vivian once believed success meant never looking back. Rowan once believed love meant holding on no matter the cost. Ilara grew up teaching them both that love also means returning, forgiving, and choosing each other again and again. The fountain still runs in that courtyard, water still rises and falls. But for three people who nearly lost everything to silence and fear, the sound no longer feels mocking. It feels like grace.